Welcome to Founder Unboxed, a podcast about the humanness of entrepreneurship, the quirks, the chaos, and the quiet moments that make the founder who they really are. I'm your host, Kabir Lal. Today's guest is someone who left behind a high-performing corporate career to honor a craft older than modern commerce itself. Nishant Malhotra is the founder of WeaverStory, an initiative born in 2015 out of love, respect, and responsibility for India's rich handloom legacy. From Fortune 500 boardrooms to the looms of Banaras and Hyderabad, Nishant's journey is anything but typical. He's a South Delhi boy, an MBA with credentials from ISB and IMA, and a family man with 2 kids, and someone who still finds time for a good game of badminton and a quiet round of cards. But behind that professional polish is a deeply personal story of early influences, of finding purpose, of betting on a culture in a market obsessed with convenience. So let's begin. Welcome to Founder Unboxed.
Thank you, Kabir.
So tell me, what kind of a kid were you?
So as a kid, I think I was a pretty normal child in terms of my upbringing. We were from a middle class family. My father used to work in a bank, and we were a nuclear family as such. Though we had good in terms of my maternal grandparents' side, I had a good lineage in terms of family. A number of people around there were quite high, but from my father's family, there were like 4 or 5 of us, not much. So we were a very small unit, very integrated, but yes, a nuclear family. I had elder brother and my wife. My mother was a housewife. So
Wonderful. And you've been in Saket?
all throughout in Saket, born and brought up, still there.
Wonderful.
Always been in Saket. So
Excellent.
and I did my schooling, education, all there. So I've grown in that vicinity. Know that vicinity in and out. I've seen it, become from Malvinagar extension to Saket.
Saket.
Yeah, from what it used to be
Now
to
a
what it
prime
is.
place in South Delhi.
Yeah.
So what were some of your early influences from your childhood? Could be family, could be maybe some political figures or teachers. What influenced you?
So largely, as I said, we weren't too big a family. Most influences were predominantly because a lot of my time was spent with my friends and school. And school, what also was an extension, because Saket was a new place.
Sure.
Everybody who was a part of the school was also outside and nearby only.
Correct.
So yes, teachers played a very important role. And because it was one of the kind of schools, and it was led by Mr. M.N. Kapoor, who's also Padma Shri and one of the key people who founded modern school that time. So his way of teaching did influence a lot of how my entire batch or people around me would have been brought up, and the schooling was very different from what it was today. The involvement of teachers was very high. Personally also, in terms of how they would understand the background of family, and getting indulged in and pick up students from what they need to do. So that was very important. So there are not just one, there are a couple of teachers who have influenced us, especially me. And from politics, no, I was never interested, yes. But yes, I had been a very ardent fan of Amitabh Bachchan and then Shah Rukh Khan.
Excellent.
And their journey, per se, as such. So he's been very influential. And yes, I used to follow quite a few of the actresses like Madhuri Dixit and all that. But otherwise,
Wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing.
So tell me, so you said your father was employed in a bank.
Yeah, he was part of the Reserve Bank of India.
Perfect. And so in your background and upbringing, how did you get influenced on your idea of risk or ambition or security? Because what it is in business families is different where you are part of the government or
Correct.
So how did it affect you?
So essentially, from my family side, there has been, I'm the first person who's actually got into business. I've not, there's nobody who's, so everybody's in service and largely in the financial sector only.
Okay.
So my first 15, 16 years of career have also been in the financial sector by, not by design, but yeah, by coincidence. When I did my MBA, I got into financial sector after that. But after 15, 16 years, I did think that, at some point of time, I had to create something on my own. So risk was a big question. They still question my, when things are not donkey hory, and then, they'll ask
True for
you.
all entrepreneurs.
So they'll still, ask you whether that was a good decision to make. It's been 10 years, but yeah,
Okay.
that is always there. But I think it was something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do for quite some time. And we've been thinking about, between me and my wife, we've been talking about it. And she was a very big support system in doing this.
Okay.
So we didn't break it like, that this is how it is going to be, and I've just finished and this is how it's going to be. So we just transitioned into it, and we said that, we started this, and this so for you there's no change. We It's still the same. I go at 9, I come back at 7. That's
Okay.
how it is going to be. Yeah. So
So
they
what
kind
was
of
that
coped up.
point? Let's go back 10 years.
Yeah.
What point did you say that, okay, I have to do this, I have to move away from corporate? Was it like an incident at the corporate job, or do you think it was something else that was there inside you that encouraged you?
So like I said, between me and my wife, we've been discussing that we should create something of our own.
Okay.
But it was very comfortable being in a corporate cushion job,
Yeah, of course.
But then a lot of things came together as for me to take the decision. Like what you said, the universe kind of conspired that this is how it should be. So there were some challenges or changes at the family front. I had a son who'd been diagnosed with autism, so we had to come. So, and I was staying away from the family. I was in Bombay, and my family was here. So I had to move back. So then that's when I realized that, it's the best time to do something of my own.
Okay.
And we had already initiated and started doing some bit of it. And prior to this, I was also in my financial services also engaged, where I was working very closely with the Bharat part, not just the India part. I was a part of the financial inclusion drive, which the Canara Bank ED had led.
Okay.
So I realized that, when I was traveling across and going to very Mofussil areas, and we would find that, even very small things like a 5,000 rupee loan would help them set up a business of their own, and it will give you a livelihood of the entire family would get engaged, and that will be a very so you could see an impact being created right away. Unlike the other competitions that we take in an organization, which are going to have a 20-year horizon or something like that, I could feel that, there is a lot of connect, and the struggles are very different, and the impacts that you create are very different.
So was that itself a motivator for you?
So this always was there in my mind. Yes. So all of that, brought together. So I think 1 or 2 years that I spent, or rather more, all of this, all these things came together, and then, we said that today let's start. So we created this storytelling page of WeaverStory as Facebook initiative, which was only telling stories. Then we'd not got into the transaction part, which also started to get a lot of eyeballs, and that's where all of that came together. Otherwise, from financial background, probably textiles was never something that we would have thought of doing.
So why silk? Why saris? What drove you to that?
So one was that that time you identify that this is something that people are wanting to talk. The weaver side is not known to the third person who's actually buying the product, and what the third person who's buying the product, his challenges are there. So there is a lack of catalyst who's involved in creating that transaction sale through. Because when we started talking about the stories of the weaver, how the weaver, because a weaver kind of spends about 15-20 years to get to a stage where he's actually he's a master, and he starts to teach people. So it's as good as somebody doing a PhD.
Correct.
So he spent that kind of time, and then there's a thought process that goes into his creation when he creates, and he chooses the colors that he wants to put into a garment or something. So his story and his upbringing play a lot of important role as to why he's done that, and that gets unnoticed.
Mm.
It is then, like you were just mentioning, it's a silk sari.
Yeah.
So why is it different from one weaver, and
Yeah.
what is that he's created? So within, like, I realized that in Banarsi there are over 15 ways of weaving one sari only. So there are different ways, techniques of weaving. So if that is the case, then each has his own skill set. One would be able to do something,
Very
they'll not
unique.
be. So there are specialities within their own sort of work and all,
Correct. Mm.
which is never put across. And the person who's buying, as we realize that people who are buying are also growing thinner. They're not, as in, the population itself is not expanding. So adoption was becoming a challenge, but there are still people who would want to buy, but they're struggling to find an authentic source for it.
Yeah.
So that's where we felt that we could play an important role as WeaverStory. And though we don't have any design background, he's the one who's creating it, and the one who's buying is probably sitting in the US, and he's not sure whether if I create send a transaction through. And this is, I'm talking about 2015-16,
Mm.
when people were not even doing trade on e-commerce.
True.
And this is pre-COVID, so that time most of these brands were not even available online.
Correct.
So that's when they wanted somebody who would see through that, that the product which is coming to them and it's going to be delivered to them in US is quality checked, assured of what the picture promises. Because that was the time when pictures were uh, people will not even go and buy on their phones, because the pictures and the colors of the phone would be different for
May
each
not
one.
be accurate. Correct.
Yeah, they'll not be accurate. So
challenge for us as well, because we were also creating content. So
Exactly.
really what we would also face.
So now they still understand, and the quality of the cameras, etc., has improved a huge.
So you are hugely dependent on a visual communication of your product.
Largely.
Yeah. And does every sari come with a story? How do you communicate
Most
the
of them,
uniqueness of that piece?
So we normally talk about the saris, and mostly what we do is we talk about the collection. So when we create a collection, we would pick up like a story, like a shikarga, which has animal motives and hunting scenes and all. So we'll create, and we'll pick up pieces from different people who do that kind of craft, and we'll bring that craft and story together, and that's how we will showcase each part of it. There could be different stories. It could be stories within the cluster, outside the clusters. Like
So besides the story, how do you differentiate yourself from the others in your industry? How
so
in
large.
the sari or textile industry, whatever you like.
So very key difference that we've created is that we've not been stuck to only one cluster. We started with one cluster, but then we soon moved down to different clusters, and we work with over 10 clusters and 19 different ODOP products now.
Okay.
ODOP is one district, one product, which is a government initiative. So we work with 19 different products, and in each cluster we have multiple sort of segments that we work, and the viewers that we work with.
Okay.
So one is that. So once we created our role as a catalyst, and we established that whatever we do, we maintain a quality experience, and how the entire product, the customer gets the experience in terms of quality, in terms of traceability of the product, and in terms of genuinity of what is being used, and using the silk mark and everything. So all those accreditations and all we've got, and we've replicated the entire processes and for every cluster.
Okay.
And now whenever we add a cluster, we do a POC with a select sort of a segment in terms of viewers, and we go back to our customers, validate it through them, and once they validate, only then we move to launch.
Now let's go back to the early days. Was there ever a time when you said कि यार ये तो गलती हो गई,
और वो अभी भी होती है.
Okay.
Every day is a challenge. So the interesting part of the entire thing, and also is the challenging part, is that this is all very human, and like it is handloom. Handloom means that there are several hands involved, and every process there is a hand involved. So there is no predictability. It's not like a machine product that that this is what I'm going to print, and this is the printout which I'm going to get.
Correct.
there are multiple people involved, from the design to the end customer. Everybody involved is a human being, and the entire human nature is that it is unpredictable.
Correct.
So when you wake up to another challenge. You don't know what
New
you're
day, new
expecting.
challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know you're expecting this today to happen, and
Mm.
something comes up and he tells you this is not happening today because this has happened.
Mm.
So yeah,
So, did you ever feel like giving up, or and what really pulled you through?
I think entrepreneurship is all about resilience.
Mm.
You can think about giving up, but it's momentary. You don't have to. You have to wake up and you have to show up.
Yeah.
I think that's it's not a choice that you have to. You can give up,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
because everywhere below you, above you, right, left, everybody's dependent on you, and
Yeah.
you're part of you're driving an ecosystem, which where a lot of people are involved. They
True.
are dependent on you. No, you're not just you yourself or your family. There are
True.
people across.
Yeah.
So
So, what would you say is your biggest strength?
biggest strength is resilience only.
Mm.
Coming back, saying that another day, let's
Yeah.
fight it out. Go ahead.
Mm.
That's the biggest thing. And I think the other is that the human. I like being work. I like working with humans.
Okay.
I like being
Yeah.
associated. I like the engagement. I like the involvement. I like, um, you know, discussions over tea,
Mm.
coffee, about all thing what work and all of that happens. So
Wonderful.
uh,
And as a founder, what would you say is your biggest blind spot?
so blind spot is like I said, I wouldn't say it is a blind spot, but yes, it's something that because you work with so many humans, there is something which is going to be unexpected,
Mm.
and you have to live with it. You can't get too much drag into it. It's a very interesting story. I was expecting one sari which we kind of pre-ordered for 3 months,
Mhm.
and was supposed to be delivered the same day. And my weaver tells me that आपका ना धागा बकरी खा गई.
Okay,
लूम पे लगा
interesting.
हुआ साड़ी, the day he was supposed to deliver it.
Wow.
And he said कि धागा बकरी खा गई. मैंने कहा and बकरी वहाँ पहुंची कैसे? Loom मतलब which is normally it's a pit loom, and
Sure, sure,
so
sure.
he's like अच्छा. Then you can't. How much can you
How do you
discuss and argue?
communicate this to the client who's
Yeah,
all excited?
exactly. So all of that is a task that he would not,
Yeah.
and we soon realized that this sari was sold to somebody else, but that was a different case. But it's just matlab, point. But that's what I think. These are human things that
Yeah.
you can't kind of
True. I've
control.
heard of the old time excuse that my dog ate my homework, so it's kind of sounded
It's
just like
similar.
that.
It's similar. Yes.
Now, tell me what drives you beyond money and success?
I think the biggest driver is that day to day, like I said,
Hmm.
I enjoy interacting with so many people.
Hmm.
The biggest driver is that you go to work and you see that there are 20, 30 people who are already waiting for you, and you kind of
Hmm.
you interact with them, and then there are a number of people who are outside also, in terms of outside of your workspace,
Correct.
who are going to be engaged with you. Or thus, plus also the drive that you're going to create something big, and which is going to make an impact to so many people,
Hmm.
the lives of so many people. The culture itself is when I started, there were about 55,000 handloom cards, handloom workers cards, which
Okay.
were issued.
Hmm.
uh, and post COVID and all, we realized about only 10,000 or so were only renewed.
Wow.
So uh, has the number of looms vanished? What it is ultimately going down.
Correct.
Now, so basically, getting people to educate about it, talk more about it through things like these, or give them. So how would the next generation or the generation beyond that would even get to see
Hmm.
what a human hand can create, or a human hand and mind both can create?
Correct.
Yeah, so those things, and giving them an
Hmm.
experience around it is very it drives me there.
Very true. And besides this, what is something that you're very passionate about away from Weaver Story?
So I'm passionate about besides WeaverStory, spending time with my daughter. I enjoy whatever time I can spend with her, and whatever we can do. But and going out with friends and all. So like I said, a lot of human involvement.
Wonderful.
That's largely what it is. And otherwise, and between the groups that I've created, earmark and find people who eat out.
Okay.
So I think that's what we do.
Delhi
So
is a foodie's paradise, of course.
yeah. So we eat out a lot. We whenever we, and it's not that we have to eat out at a fancy place and all. We enjoy those places, the street foods,
Wonderful.
going at places, understanding even a chai with bun maska in Bombay, which we used to do, all those things.
Yeah.
So those that's the places where we get a lot of stories. I enjoy those.
Wonderful.
Yeah, where we enjoy.
So, looking forward, what's the one thing that you're currently building and which you feel is going to be great for the business?
So what we're looking at right now is that we understand that there are a lot of clusters still unexplored,
Okay.
of which we've kind of initiated 2 or 3 last year, where we've kind of revived the entire thing with the help of like-minded partners, where we've created things or kind of reincarnated them to some extent, that how it used to be in the olden times. We're trying to get those back. Doing a lot of documentation and studies on the loom, because most of the traditions, like like the recipes which happen, are hearsay. They're not documented anywhere. So somebody has mastered it, but they've not, because they've not been taught to document. So it's they've taught their next generation, but nobody's documented. So how the loom structures have evolved, if we have to go back to weaving a 200 count sort of a cotton sari, what all is going to be involved, who's going to do it, so all that effort. So that one. The other part we're working on is the traceability of the products, because as we go forward, it is going to be very difficult, and also very important that the person can differentiate whether the product is hand woven, not hand woven, whatever. So it is, I think, I would say that it should be left to the choice of the customer to decide whether he wants to buy a costly product or buy a costly looking product. So if he's willing to pay for something, and then at least should be his choice. He should not be fooled into buying. That's my intent. So creating a lot of traceability around what we're doing. And third is to increase the span of people that we can reach out to. A lot of Indian diaspora especially is very appreciative of the art and the culture that we have. But they don't get access to a lot of these things, and they're not able to first hand see and all of that. So we're looking at people who can help us grow that. So besides being in India, where we're traveling and doing exhibitions and all, is very easy. We would like to increase our footprint outside. So these
Tell me
are
one
three
thing
things.
that at this time with tech or AI, or is there something that scares you in the market or for your business?
So there is a constant competition with the tech improving, that there are ways of fooling a customer. So I'm not as much scared of tech taking over, replacing what we are doing. But then when the attempt of it to replace and fool a customer, like recently I saw a machine which was created. So when you do handloom sari weaving, so there are punch marks which are created where the pins are put in. So there is a machine which only creates punch marks.
My God, okay.
So the intent obviously is to create something. So like I said, I don't mind, because there are within India, if you look at if you go for half the population, 70 crore women, and of which, if safely, if you can assume, lower middle class and all would be about 50 to 60 crore, and they all daily wear a sari every day. So they're not so even if you're supposed to, or we can never create handloom sarees for them to buy every day. So that production level is probably not going to happen now, with the number of looms going down and everything. So there is obviously a market which is there for power loom printed sarees, and all. Then why is the need for you to create something which is attempting, or directly the intention is to create make a fool out of a person.
Correct.
And that kind of impacts the credibility of the cluster itself. So a person who's bought a fake Banarsi, say, so they would not say that, I bought a fake Banarsi. They would like
This
go
is the
back and
real
say the
thing.
Banarsi chor hai.
Ah, okay.
So they'll not say that I made a mistake, but the feeling it comes is that they try and make a fool out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of
Interesting.
im-
So, what would you say is the one thing that has really helped you in your journey to keep coming back, keep the motivation high? Is it the family? Is it the sense of responsibility to the people who are working with you, to the artisans, or what drives you there?
So I think it's a it's a mix of both. Yes, the
Yeah.
family is a very important part. I had that support. Not only my wife, who is backing me every time, even though when we started, financially or whatever, and then my parents, like I said, I stay in their extended roles, of helping me with my kids and all of that. So that, having said that, but then obviously the ecosystem that you've created is so dependent on your being there,
Yeah.
and your engagement with viewers and all of that does impact. So my family, which is extended family, the employees that I have, so all of them, so they're working with them, their feedback, all of that. So, and I have people who have been working with us from the day we started almost.
Yeah. Excellent.
So they've also become a part of the family. So they have extended supports and going outside, doing exhibitions, everything.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nishant.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure.
That was Nishant Malhotra, Unboxed. A founder who stepped off the corporate treadmill not to chase the next trend, but to honor a tradition. Someone who didn't just build a brand, but chose to protect a legacy, to give voice and visibility to the weavers of India. What I loved most about this conversation was how personal it is all for him. The values, the vision, the vulnerability, it's all woven into the fabric of WeaverStory. And if this episode moved you, made you think, or made you curious, share it with a friend, a colleague, and maybe someone who's just starting off their story. And if you haven't already done so, hit follow and subscribe to our podcast. We've got so much more conversations coming up, more founders, more stories, and more humanness of entrepreneurship. And thank you for watching us. I'm Kabir, and this is Founder Unboxed.